let me just start by saying I was not raring to go to see this film. I was not excited. I was not anticipating. I really didn't have expectations for the film. And if I had any, they were negative. I watched the trailer, and I've seen so many of these reboots, these a million years later sequels, and they, even if they're okay, they never really live up to the original. And so I was not going in super pumped for this movie at all. Love the original. Just watched the original a couple weeks ago. Loved it again, right? Grew up with it. Probably seen it 40 times in my lifetime. That being said, this movie surprised the hell out of me. I don't even like musicals, folks. I do not. There are very few musicals that I enjoy. Very few. But the ones I enjoy very much. And this happens to fall into that category because, man, was I just completely caught off guard by how much I loved this movie. And my wife and I were talking about it afterwards, and I'll get into that a little bit. I think she made some really good points. Maybe go, yeah, I think that may be it. But I love this film. I think, this is probably blasphemy, but I don't care. This is better than the original. That's not taking anything away from Gene Wilder, who, essentially created the character through his acting and all his quirks and ad-libs. And so without that foundation, Timothée Chalamet wouldn't have what he had to work with and to build on. And I'll say from the trailers originally, I thought Chalamet's interpretation of the character was kind of cringy. I watched him like, oh, he's trying too hard to be Gene Wilder in this, and it just doesn't, I don't know, it didn't resonate, man. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna love this. First of all, I was very happy that it wasn't a reboot like the 2005 Johnny Depp version. I was very happy knowing that it was going to be a prequel. Like, how did Willy Wonka get to where he was at when we caught up with him in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? That's great, because we don't have to see scenes that we loved be bastardized or ruined by someone else interpreting them differently. And you don't have to redo any of the same scenes, right? You do little call forwards, if you will, kind of like callbacks, kind of showing us how things in the original film ended up the way they did. I love that. I love the glass ceiling that we constantly see throughout the film, and the origins of some of his candies and chocolates. But I think the thing that really did it for me in this film was Timothée Chalamet as Wonka. And like I said, completely caught off guard by that, because I did not at all expect him to wow me the way he did. He's just a hell of a performer. Not just in, his delivery, his interpretation of the Willy Wonka character, but dude, his singing, his dancing, like, he is an all-around showman, and I could see him performing this on Broadway. It was so damn good. And I've never been like a huge Timothée Chalamet guy. Like, maybe the only thing I've seen with him in it is Dune, which was fine. Like, I like Dune, but not necessarily because of him. I just like the film. So he won a new fan in me with this Wonka film. And I couldn't be happier that I ended up going to see it. Like I said, I'm a little late to the game here. We I don't know, how long has this thing been out? A month? More? Month and a half? It's been out for a while, and we just kept waiting, trying to figure out what we were going to see. There's other movies we were debating on what we should go see. And we're like, you know what? Our daughter wants to see Wonka. Let's go see that. And you know what? Everyone enjoyed it. My wife loved it. I loved it. My daughter loved it. And my wife was the one who originally said, like, I think it's better than the first one. And I was like, at first I'm like, how could you? And then I'm like, you know what? Because she made some really good points. Like, if you really break down the original, there's not a whole lot of story there, right? There's not a whole lot of world building there. It's all like over the course of a couple days. It's a poor kid who goes in and, you know, shows that he's actually one of the better human beings of all these other kids who have been raised in different wrong ways, become spoiled brats and whatnot. And he hasn't, because, you know, he's struggled. He's the only poor kid there. He's the only kid who's had to deal with real life. A lot of these other kids are distracted, you know, selfish, spoiled. So he's like the most down-to-earth character, and then he ends up winning the day, right? In the end. And I don't know, there's just not as much to it. This had so much more depth, so much more character building. You know, the best thing about the original is the factory itself, right? And watching what happens to each of the kids. That's the best part. That's really what intrigues me. That's what people go back to watch again and again. You know, Gene Wilder's portrayal, and then what happens to these kids along the way. But this film had so much more depth and like I said, character building. Brought in all these new characters, which I loved all of them. I love how they used so many actors that were also in Paddington. I don't know if you guys are fans of Paddington, but I really love the Paddington series. And, you know, Willy Wonka's mother in this, which, you know, the emotion that this invoked that the original does not. Like, I don't care that much in the original. It's fun, it's silly, it's quirky, but it doesn't make me feel anything. Not really. Not the way this one did. You know, Willie's want to live up to something for his mother, to see his mother again, in a sense. I loved it. I loved it. I like the emotional beats, the fun of it. I loved, like I said, from Paddington, once again, they brought Hugh Grant in to play the Oompa Loompa, and that was fantastic. I love that Willie hadn't remembered that he had, you know, stolen from them, or not even realized he had stolen from them. Whereas in the original film, they kind of made it seem like he met them when he went to Loompa Land. But in this version of the story, which I really liked, he didn't even realize. So he wasn't even sure that this Oompa Loompa was a real thing. He thought it was a figment of his imagination, maybe, like everyone else did. I love that no one else believed it. I love the little girl who is the poor child in this one, you know, and her kind of longing for a family, and that playing out. And like I said, I loved all the things that they brought from the original into this, like the origin of the candy that you eat and then float up to the ceiling, right? Which in the original was like a drink, right? The fizzy pop. But in this one, it was actually a candy that you eat. But yeah, man, I loved all the kind of imagination where Willie's looking at something and you see it through his eyes, and it's so much more than what you see. He's just imagining what it could be. And then I love the shop when they unveil his shop after when it went from like a decrepit, beat down kind of warehouse to this amazing candy shop. Anyway, I can't say enough about it, man. I loved this movie. I loved it. One of the better movies I've seen this year. One of the better movies I've seen in a long time, especially when it comes to like family-friendly, family films, right? Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. I mean, I feel like I've gotten quite a bit of feedback already, just in general online and stuff, of what people thought of it. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people were whatever on it. But like I said, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comments. You can reach out on social media at Real Brett Scott anywhere. Yeah, and if you like this sort of thing where I talk entertainment, pop culture, that sort of stuff, then stick around, because that's what I do on this channel. Try to put out content as often as possible, and it's all stuff that I enjoy or don't enjoy, but stuff that I want to talk about. I'm not going for any algorithm or anything. I'm not posting specific types of videos or specific types of thumbnails or anything like that. I'm literally just talking about the stuff that I'm interested in. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, entertainment, pop culture, and the like, please subscribe for more. And if you do decide to stick around, then I'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks.